The loading dock smelled like metal and fuel, a combination that Carla Hayes had grown to appreciate over her 3 days on Station Helix. She pulled another crate across the floor, muscles barely straining under the weight that made the scanning equipment beep warnings about proper handling procedures. Around her, workers of a dozen different species move cargo with hydraulic lifts and anti-gravity sleds, their voices mixing into a constant hum of activity. Torvak approached with his tablet, his scaled green face twisted into what Carla had learned was his version of concern. The Saurid supervisor stood 7 feet tall with arms thick as tree trunks, but he moved carefully around the human woman like she might break from a strong breeze. "Hayes, that container is marked Red Class. You should wait for the loader mech," he said, his voice a low rumble that made her ribcage vibrate. Carla set the crate down gently despite its 500-pound weight. "Already moved it. Next." Torvak's tail twitched, another sign she had learned meant confusion or frustration. The safety regulations exist for a reason. Earth is listed as 0.79 standard gravity. Your bone density cannot handle repeated stress at our station's full gravity environment. Before Carla could respond, Penny jogged over from the storage racks. The older woman had been working Station Helix for 2 years and had warned Carla about the assumptions on her first day. Penny's gray hair was tied back, and her station jumpsuit showed the wear of someone who actually did the work instead of supervising it. "Torvak, she finished the entire north section already. While you were in the office," Penny said with a slight smile. The Saurid pulled up his tablet, scrolling through the inventory logs. His large eyes widened slightly. "That was a 4-hour job minimum. She's been here 90 minutes. Earth girls built different," Penny said, patting Carla on the shoulder before heading back to her section. Rilf skittered over on 6 insectoid legs, his mandibles clicking in the pattern Carla had learned meant amusement. The Chittick's 4 arms gestured at the crates. Perhaps the human is confused about which containers she should move. The red markings indicate danger, Hayes, not suggestions for exercise. Carla wiped sweat from her forehead. "I can read the labels just fine. And I grew up hauling hay bales on my family's farm before I joined the service. This is lighter work." Rilf's antennae twitched. "You're military? They had you moving cargo." "Construction battalion. We built forward bases in hostile territory. Mountains, deserts, swamps. You build fast or you don't build at all." Torvak made a note on his tablet. "Nevertheless, I am assigning you to the light duty section. Sorting and cataloging. No heavy lifting." Carla opened her mouth to argue, but Penny caught her eye and shook her head slightly. "Pick your battles," the gesture said. Carla had learned that arguing with supervisors who thought they were protecting you was a losing game. Better to prove yourself through action than words. "Sure thing, boss," Carla said, heading toward the sorting station. The next hour dragged by as Carla scanned barcodes and updated inventory logs while watching her coworkers struggle with containers she could have moved in half the time. A pair of Venix workers, beings that looked like walking pillars of muscle, grunted and strained to reposition a cargo pod that had been delivered to the wrong bay. She estimated it at maybe 800 pounds. Back home, her squad could have done it with 2 people. Rilf passed by, carrying a small box with all 4 arms despite it probably weighing less than 20 pounds. He noticed her watching. "You seem disappointed with your assignment." "Just not used to sitting still," Carla admitted. "Your species is young to the galactic community. Give it time. Once Torvak sees you can follow protocols, he will trust you with more responsibility." Rilf's mandibles clicked again. "Though I confess, I find it amusing how your kind always seems eager to prove something. Earth must be a very competitive world." Carla thought about how to explain it. "Where I'm from, if you don't pull your weight, people notice. And I don't like being treated like I'm fragile when I'm not. Fragile is relative, human. You have no exoskeleton, no redundant organs, no natural armor. Your homeworld classification confirms this. By galactic standards, you are indeed delicate." Before Carla could formulate a response that would not get her fired on day 3, the station's alert system crackled to life. The calm, automated voice that usually announced shift changes or cargo arrivals now carried an edge of urgency. "Emergency in Docking Bay 7. All personnel evacuate to safe zones. Emergency crews respond immediately. Cargo containment failure. Repeat, cargo containment failure. The loading dock froze for a split second before erupting into controlled chaos. Workers secured their stations and moved toward the evacuation routes marked in glowing green along the walls. Torvak was already on his communicator, his voice sharp as he coordinated with station security. Penny grabbed Carla's arm. Base 7 is 2 sections over. We need to move now. But Carla was already looking at the wall display that showed the station's layout. Base 7 connected directly to their section through the main cargo corridor. If something had escaped from a containment unit, it could reach them in minutes. What kind of cargo was in Base 7? Carla asked, already moving toward the equipment lockers. Torvak overheard her. That information is not your concern, Hayes. Follow evacuation protocols. The station shuddered slightly, a tremor that made the deck plates vibrate under their feet. In the distance, something roared. The roar echoed through the cargo corridors again, closer this time and carrying a sound that Carla recognized from nature documentaries. Predator. Big one. The kind that sat at the top of the food chain and knew it. That Torvak's communicator erupted with panicked voices overlapping each other. Security to Bay 7. The Razorback is loose. Repeat. The Razorback is out of containment. What's a Razorback? Carla asked, pulling an emergency kit from the wall locker. Penny had gone pale. Apex Predator from Talvis 3. Death World Classification 8. They're usually kept sedated during transport. Rilfa's antennae lay flat against his head, a fear response. The ship that docked an hour ago must have had a containment failure during the crash landing. Those creatures weigh 2 tons and can bite through steel plating. Another tremor shook the station, followed by the screech of tearing metal. The main cargo corridor's blast door began to close automatically, but something massive slammed into it from the other side. The reinforced door buckled inward, creating a gap large enough for workers to see into the chaos beyond. Through the gap, Carla caught her first glimpse of the Razorback. It stood 12 feet tall on 4 legs thick as support columns, its body covered in overlapping scales that gleamed like polished obsidian. 3 rows of teeth lined a mouth that could swallow a person whole, and its claws left deep gouges in the deck plating as it moved. The creature's eyes glowed amber in the emergency lighting, scanning for prey with predatory intelligence. Station security arrived with energy weapons, taking positions behind cargo containers. The first volley of shots hit the Razorback square in its armored chest. The beast roared and charged, shrugging off the energy blasts like they were annoying insects. One security officer did not move fast enough, and the creature's tail whip sent him flying 20 feet into a support pillar. Fall back, fall back, the security chief shouted, her voice barely audible over the Razorback's snarling. Weapons are ineffective. We need the heavy artillery from Armory 3. Workers scattered in every direction, abandoning cargo and equipment in their rush to reach safety. Torvak was herding their section's crew toward the evacuation route when Penny suddenly stopped. Wait, where's Danny? He was doing inventory in the south storage area. Carla looked at the station map display. The south storage area was on the wrong side of the blast door, cut off by the rampaging Razorback. Through the buckled door's gap, she could see 3 workers trapped behind a collapsed scaffolding unit in a dead-end corridor. One of them was waving frantically. Security will get them, Torvak said, but his voice lacked conviction. The security team was barely holding the creature's attention, and their weapons were useless. The Razorback turned toward the trapped workers, its nostrils flaring as it caught their scent. It moved with terrifying speed for something so large, crossing the bay in seconds. The workers pressed themselves against the back wall. Nowhere left to run. Carla's mind calculated angles and distances, the same way she had learned during combat engineering training. The creature's attention was focused forward. Its blind spot was obvious to anyone who had studied predator behavior. The loading harnesses they used for heavy cargo were rated for 3 tons. I need a clear path to that thing, Carla said. Penny grabbed her arm. Are you insane? That's a Razorback. It kills Talvusian megafauna for food. Creatures twice your size. Then I better move fast. Carla pulled free and sprinted toward the equipment rack, grabbing a heavy-duty loading harness and a safety clip. Torvak's voice boomed over the communicator. "Hey, stand down. That is an order." But Carla was already through the gap in the blast door, her boots pounding against the deck plates as she ran toward the Razorback's blind spot. The creature was 30 feet from the trapped workers, lowering its head for a charge that would crush them against the wall. The security chief saw Carla, and her eyes widened in horror. Somebody stop that human. 20 feet from the beast, Carla could smell it now. Blood and musk, and something else, something ancient and wild. Her heart hammered, but her hand stayed steady as she unfurled the loading harness. The Razorback's tail swished back and forth, razor-sharp spikes along its length promising death to anything that got close. 15 feet. The trapped workers saw her coming, and their faces showed pure terror. Not for themselves anymore, but for the crazy human running at a death world apex predator with nothing but a cargo strap. 10 feet. The Razorback sensed something behind it and started to turn, but Carla was already moving. She dove forward, sliding under the creature's massive body on the smooth deck plating. The harness flew from her hands, looping around the beast's midsection as she passed beneath it. 5 feet. Carla rolled to her feet on the other side, grabbed the harness ends, and clipped them to the reinforced attachment points on her cargo exosuit. The Razorback realized something was wrong and started to spin toward her. Too late. Carla planted her feet, bent her knees, and lifted. The station went silent except for the groan of stressed metal and the Razorback's confused roar as 2 tons of apex predator came off the ground. Carla's legs burned, her back screamed, every muscle in her body engaged as she deadlifted the impossible weight. The creature thrashed, but its own armor worked against it, providing nothing to grip as its feet kicked empty air. Through the gap in the blast door, Torvak's tablet fell from his hands and clattered to the floor. Carla's world narrowed to simple physics and the burning in her muscles. The Razorback weighed approximately 4,000 pounds according to the cargo manifest she had glimpsed earlier, but Earth's full gravity had prepared her for exactly this kind of impossible moment. Her drill instructor's voice echoed in her memory during those brutal training sessions in the mountains. Pain is just information, Hayes. Your body can do more than your brain thinks. The creature twisted violently, trying to bring its claws to bear on whatever held it. Carla adjusted her grip and shifted her weight, using the beast's own momentum against it. She had helped flip armored vehicles during field exercises. She had carried wounded soldiers through swamps. She had moved concrete barriers under enemy fire. This was just another Tuesday, except the weight was angrier and had more teeth. The trapped workers stared with their mouths open, unable to process what they were seeing. Behind them, through the damaged blast door, the entire loading dock crew had stopped evacuating to watch. Riltha's mandibles hung slack. Penny's hands covered her mouth. Torvak's scaled face had gone pale green, a color Carla had never seen on him. The security chief's voice crackled over the communicator. Is anyone else seeing this? Station sensors registered the impossible, feeding data to systems that flagged it as equipment malfunction. Human female, mass 70 kilograms, lifting object of mass 1,800 kilograms. Error. Recheck calibration, but the sensors were working fine. Carla rotated, using her hips and core the way her father had taught her when they moved equipment on the farm. The Razorback roared again, spraying saliva that sizzled where it hit the deck plating. She took 3 shuffling steps toward an open cargo container that security had been trying to use as a barrier. The creature's tail whipped toward her head, but she ducked, never losing her grip on the harness. "Open that container," she shouted to the security team. They scrambled to comply, hitting the controls that swung the massive container door wide open. The empty interior was rated for hazardous materials, reinforced walls designed to contain chemical spills or radioactive cargo. Carla took a breath, planted her back foot, and pivoted hard. The Razorback went airborne for a moment, carried by momentum and human determination. It sailed through the air, claws still grasping at nothing, and crashed into the container with impact that rang through the entire bay. Before it could recover, Security slammed the door shut and engaged the magnetic locks. The container rocked as the beast inside raged, but the reinforced walls held. Slowly, the rocking decreased as a sedative gas flooded the interior through emergency vents designed exactly for situations like this. Carla unclipped the harness and let it fall to the deck. Her hands shook slightly as adrenaline caught up with her body. She walked calmly toward the trapped workers, checking them for injuries with the same efficient manner she had used during medical training. "You three okay?" she asked. The worker named Danny nodded, unable to form words. His colleagues just stared at her like she had grown a second head. "Good. Let's get you to the safe zone." She turned to find the entire loading dock crew gathered at the blast door, which security had finally gotten fully open. Absolute silence greeted her. 50 pairs of eyes from a dozen species, all focused on the human woman who had just casually lifted an apex predator like it was a mildly heavy suitcase. Penny broke the silence. "Girl, what the actual hell?" Carla shrugged, feeling her shoulders protest the movement. "It needed to be moved. I moved it." Torvak approached slowly, his tablet hanging forgotten in one hand. The cargo manifest listed that creature at 1.8 metric tons. Station gravity is 0.98 standard, nearly identical to Earth's 9.8 meters per second squared. "Okay," Carla said, not sure where he was going with this. "Hayes, I have studied Earth classifications extensively since your species joined the galactic community. Earth is listed as moderate hazard level, 0.79 standard gravity. That would make you physically weaker than most species here." Carla wiped sweat from her forehead. "Yeah, about that classification. Who measured it?" Torvak's tail stopped moving entirely. "Automated survey drones. Standard protocol." "Where do they measure?" "Various locations across your planet. Mountains, plains, coastal regions." "Do they measure at sea level?" Carla asked. "Because Earth's gravity isn't uniform. It's stronger at sea level where most humans live. Plus, we have this thing called atmospheric pressure that makes everything harder. And weather. And our evolution involved running down prey until it died from exhaustion. We're built for endurance and carrying heavy things long distances." Rilfa's antennae perked up. "You are saying the classification is inaccurate?" "I'm saying whoever programmed those drones didn't account for where humans actually live and work. We're not mountain goats. We build cities at sea level, where the air is thick and the gravity is pulling hardest." The security chief stepped forward, reviewing footage on her handheld device. "I have reviewed the recordings 3 times. There is no mechanical assistance, no anti-gravity field, no hidden equipment. You lifted a razorback with baseline human strength." "Baseline Earth human strength," Penny corrected, "which apparently hits different than everyone assumed." Medical teams arrived and insisted on checking Carla, despite her protests. They scanned her with instruments that beeped confusion at her bone density, muscle fiber composition, and cardiovascular efficiency. A doctor with crystalline skin kept muttering about impossible readings and requesting recalibration. "Your bone density is 0.3 higher than our baseline human reference data," the doctor said, antennae quivering with scientific excitement. "Your muscle fiber ratio suggests adaptation to sustained heavy load bearing. Your cardiovascular system is processing oxygen at remarkable efficiency." "I grew up on a farm in Montana, joined the Army, and did construction work in combat zones," Carla explained for the 3rd time. "This is just regular Earth stuff." The doctor made rapid notes. "I must contact the Galactic Survey Corps immediately. If the human classification is this far off, there could be similar errors for other recently contacted species." The medical bay's waiting area had become an impromptu gathering space as word spread through Station Helix. Carla sat on an examination table while Dr. Fellness, the crystalline physician, ran yet another scan. Through the transparent walls, she could see workers gathering in small groups, their conversations animated and punctuated with gestures that probably meant they were talking about her. Penny brought her a protein bar and water bottle. "You're famous." The footage is spreading through the station network. Someone sent it to the galactic news feed. "Great," Carla muttered. "Always wanted to be a viral video." "I've worked with humans for 2 years," Penny said, sitting beside her. But I never tried to lift anything really heavy. I just assumed the classification was right. Now I'm wondering what else I've been avoiding for no reason. Dr. Fellness looked up from his scanner, his crystalline face reflecting the medical bays lights in rainbow patterns. Your skeletal structure shows signs of constant microfracture healing. Your bones break and repair constantly, becoming denser each time. This is normal for your species? If you exercise regularly, yeah. It's called bone remodeling, Carla said. Basic human biology. Fascinating and horrifying, the doctor said. Your body breaks itself to become stronger. Most species would consider this a chronic medical condition. Torvak entered the medical bay, moving more carefully around Carla than before. His tail movements suggested uncertainty, a dramatic change from his usual confident supervisor demeanor. Hayes, I owe you an apology. I made assumptions based on incomplete data and nearly got people killed because I did not trust your capabilities. Carla shook her head. You were following protocols and trying to keep workers safe. I get it. Nevertheless, I should have listened when you said you could handle the work. Your military service should have indicated higher physical capability. Torvak pulled up his tablet. I am recommending you for commendation and promotion. Station Commander Hallex wants to see you in his office. Is that mandatory? Carla asked, already knowing the answer. Very much so. 20 minutes later, Carla stood in Commander Hallex's office overlooking the station's main concourse. The commander himself was a luminar, standing nearly 8 feet tall with a body that looked like animated crystal. Light refracted through him in complex patterns that supposedly indicated his emotional state, though Carla had not learned to read them yet. Specialist Hayes, Hallex said, his voice like wind chimes. In 30 years of station command, I have never seen anything quite like today's footage. You saved 3 lives with remarkable courage and shocking physical capability. Just doing what needed to be done, sir. Hallex gestured toward the window where the main concourse bustled with activity. Do you know how many species are represented on this station? 47. Most of them now believe humans are significantly more formidable than previously assumed. This changes diplomatic considerations, trade negotiations, and security assessments. Carla shifted uncomfortably. I didn't mean to start an interstellar incident. You did not, Hallex assured her. But you have revealed a significant intelligence gap. Earth's classification as a moderate hazard world with 0.79 standard gravity appears to be dangerously incomplete. I'm offering you a position in station security. We need someone with your capabilities and your understanding of human potential. I appreciate the offer, Commander, but I signed on as a cargo handler. That's the work I know and like. Hallex's crystalline form shifted colors. You prefer manual labor to security work? I prefer honest work where I know what I'm doing. Give me a few months to learn the station, then ask me again. The commander considered this. A reasonable position. Very well, but I am upgrading your clearance and pay grade immediately. And I'm requesting that you participate in updated assessment protocols for human workers. Your species deserves accurate representation in galactic databases. When Carla returned to the loading dock, her crew had gathered near their usual break area. Rilf scuttled over immediately, his mandibles clicking rapidly in what she had learned meant excitement. Hayes, I've been reviewing Earth documentation all afternoon. Your planet has creatures called bears that can lift 800 kilograms, gorillas that bench press 2,000 pounds. Your world produced these through natural evolution. We share about 98% of our DNA with gorillas, Carla said. And yeah, Earth has lots of strong animals. Humans aren't even close to the strongest. But you are strong enough to surprise a razorback, Penny pointed out. And apparently every alien species on this station. Torvak cleared his throat. I have been instructed to offer you the assistant supervisor position. It comes with increased authority and compensation. You would help coordinate cargo operations and safety protocols. Carla looked at her crew. What do you all think? Honestly, there was a pause before Rilf spoke. I confess I would have laughed at this suggestion yesterday. Today, I cannot think of anyone better qualified. You understand the work because you do the work. And you clearly understand capabilities that the rest of us have been misreading. I vote yes, Penny said. Someone needs to make sure we're not babying workers who don't need it. The others nodded agreement. Even Torvak's tail movements suggested approval. Okay, Carla said, but I'm still taking regular shifts on the floor. Can't coordinate cargo if I don't know what's actually happening with the cargo. Agreed, Torvak said, extending his hand for what he had learned was a human gesture. Carla shook it, careful not to squeeze too hard as the crew dispersed to finish their shifts. A young Venix worker approached nervously. Specialist Hayes? I wanted to apologize. I made jokes about human fragility when you first arrived. I see now how wrong I was. No worries, Carla said. You didn't know. Most people don't. Earth is new to all this galactic community stuff. May I ask a question? The Venix's muscular frame seemed to shrink slightly. If humans are this strong, why are there so few of you in space? Carla thought about it. We're still figuring things out. Earth only made contact 15 years ago. Most humans are still back home, living regular lives. Give us time. We'll get out here eventually. The Venix nodded and walked away looking thoughtful. Penny sidled up beside Carla. You realize everything just changed, right? Not just for you, but for every human working in space. I just lifted a thing that needed lifting. You lifted 2 tons of murder lizard like it was a bag of groceries, Penny corrected. Tomorrow, every human worker in this sector is going to have supervisors wondering what else we can do. 3 weeks had passed since the Razorback incident, and Station Helix had settled into a new rhythm that acknowledged what Carla called the human strength situation. She arrived at the loading dock for the morning shift to find a crowd gathered around the assignment board. What's going on? She asked Penny, who was reviewing her tablet with an amused expression. Torvak posted new load ratings. Humans are now cleared for heavy cargo without mechanical assistance. We've also been bumped up 2 pay grades across the board for hazard classification adjustment. Carla pushed through the crowd to read the notice. Sure enough, human workers were now rated for loads up to 800 kilograms unassisted, with proper safety equipment. The other species had a range of ratings, but humans had jumped several categories based on recent observations and updated Earth data. This is going to cause problems, Carla muttered. Already has, Penny said. 3 cargo companies filed complaints that the new ratings give human workers an unfair competitive advantage. 2 others are trying to recruit every human in the sector. Rilf skittered over, his mandibles clicking in agitation. Hayes, there's a delegation here to see you. From the Galactic Council Research Division. In the station's conference room, 5 scientists from different species waited with equipment that looked expensive and complicated. The lead researcher, a being that resembled a floating jellyfish with too many eyes, introduced itself as Dr. Velith. Specialist Hayes, thank you for agreeing to meet with us. We have been conducting emergency assessments of Earth's actual environmental conditions and comparing them to our baseline survey data. The discrepancies are significant. Velith projected a hologram showing Earth from space. Red zones marked areas of human population density. Our original surveys measured gravity variations across your planet's surface, averaging them into a single classification. This methodology works for most worlds, but Earth's unusual characteristics make it problematic. Another scientist, a being with 6 arms and compound eyes, took over the presentation. Earth rotates unusually fast, creating significant centrifugal force variation by latitude. Your axial tilt creates dramatic seasonal changes. Your moon is proportionally massive, creating tidal forces that affect everything from your oceans to your atmosphere. And your magnetic field is unusually strong, protecting you from solar radiation that would sterilize most planets. Okay, Carla said, but what does that mean practically? Dr. Velith's color shifted. It means humans evolved under conditions we classify as a death world by 6 different metrics, but your planet avoided full death world classification because the survey averaged out the extremes. A human living at sea level near the equator experiences 0.99 standard gravity, not 0.79. You breathe air with oxygen levels that would be toxic to 3 species represented at this station. Your immune system fights off thousands of pathogens daily that would kill most galactic species within hours. The jellyfish scientist pulled up a comparison chart. We tested 20 human workers on this station. All of them can perform physical tasks we rated as requiring mechanical assistance. 15 of them have cardiovascular efficiency ratings we previously thought impossible without cybernetic enhancement. 8 have bone density measurements that would indicate advanced age-related disease in other species, but are normal for humans in their 20s. So the classification was wrong, Carla said. Catastrophically wrong, Velith agreed. We are recommending Earth be reclassified as a Class 7 hazard world, with human workers receiving corresponding capability upgrades across all galactic employment databases. This will affect insurance rates, job qualifications, safety protocols, and diplomatic considerations. Penny leaned forward. Will this affect humans already working in space? Positively, we believe. Your physical capabilities have been dramatically underestimated, leading to inappropriate job assignments and compensation. This should correct immediately. After the scientists left, Carla returned to the loading dock to find more changes already in progress. A sordid merchant named Grelick waited near the supervisor's office. His scaled face creased in what passed for a smile among his people. Ah, spécialiste. I represent Grelick Transport Collective. I wish to offer you a position as personal security at triple your current salary. Your demonstrated capabilities would be invaluable. Not interested, Carla said, moving past him. Quadruple salary. Plus hasard bonus. Still not interested. Grelick's tail twitched. May I ask why? The compensation is generous. Because I like working cargo. I understand it. I'm good at it. And I don't want to spend my days standing around looking intimidating. The merchant left looking confused. Apparently refusing absurd amounts of money was not normal behavior in his experience. HFY lunch break. Carla had received 5 more job offers, including one from a mining operation that wanted her to work on a high-gravity moon and another from a military contractor looking for human advisors. She turned them all down. Torvak found her in the break room. You are turning down opportunities that most workers would consider once-in-a-lifetime chances. I'm happy here, Carla said simply. Good crew, honest work, decent pay. Why would I leave? Because you could be wealthy beyond most humans' comprehension. Carla thought about her family's farm, her army squad, the construction crews she had worked with. Money's nice, but it's not why I took this job. I came out here to see space, to do something meaningful, to work with people from other worlds. A bigger paycheck doesn't change any of that. Torvak's tail moved in a pattern she had learned indicated respect. You are an unusual person, Hayes. I'm really not. I just know what I want. That afternoon, while helping train a new batch of workers on proper lifting techniques, Carla noticed something interesting. The human trainees watched her demonstrations carefully, but the alien trainees seemed almost nervous. One of them, a young Chittick named Rivek, finally spoke up. Specialist Hayes, how do we know our own capabilities? If the classifications were wrong for humans, could they be wrong for us too? Carla paused, considering the question. That's actually a really good point. Has anyone ever tested your maximum carrying capacity with proper training? Rivek's antennae drooped. No, we just follow the ratings from our species database. Maybe that's something we should change, Carla suggested. Start with baseline tests, add proper training, see what everyone can actually do instead of what the database says they should do. The idea caught on quickly. Within days, Torvak had organized voluntary capability assessments for workers from multiple species. The results surprised everyone. A Venix worker discovered she could handle 20% more weight than her rating suggested when using proper form. 2 sword workers improved their endurance significantly with adjusted rest intervals. Even Ril found that his four-armed coordination gave him advantages in certain tasks that had never been properly documented. You started something, Penny told Carla one evening as they watched workers from 6 species practice proper lifting techniques together. I just asked questions, Carla said. Turns out nobody else was asking them. That's what starting something looks like. 6 months after lifting the Razorback, Carla found herself standing in Station Helix's main assembly hall in front of 400 people representing 30 different species. The annual memorial ceremony honored those who had prevented disasters and saved lives throughout the year. She wore her dress uniform, the one she had not expected to need when she signed on as a cargo handler, and tried not to fidget while Commander Hallex gave opening remarks. Penny sat in the front row, giving her an encouraging thumbs up. Torvak stood near the stage with the other department supervisors, his tail moving in slow patterns that meant pride. Rilf had positioned himself where his compound eyes could capture the whole scene, documenting everything with equipment he claimed was for personal records but would probably end up on the station network anyway. The ceremony proceeded through various commendations. A medical team that saved 15 people during a reactor leak. An engineer who prevented a catastrophic hull breach. A security officer who talked down someone experiencing a mental health crisis. Each story mattered. Each person had made the choice to act when it would have been easier to run. Then Commander Hallex called her name. Carla walked to the podium, very aware of how many eyes were watching. The crowd included species she had only read about, visitors from distant stations, and a surprising number of humans who had traveled specifically to attend. When had there gotten to be so many humans on the station? She looked at her prepared notes. The careful speech Torvak had helped her write about protocols and safety procedures. Then she folded the paper and set it aside. "I'm not great at speeches," Carla began, "but I'll try to keep this simple. 6 months ago, I lifted something heavy because people needed help and I was the only one in position to do it. That's it. That's the whole story. I didn't do anything special or heroic. I just did what needed doing." She paused, gathering her thoughts. "But what happened after matters more than what I did that day." People started asking questions. Why do we think humans were weaker than we actually are? What other assumptions were we making? Could we be wrong about other species too? Carla gestured toward the crowd. "This station is different now. We test capabilities instead of assuming them. We train together instead of staying in our species groups. We ask questions instead of just following the database. And that's bigger than lifting a razorback. That's about respecting what each person can actually do." A murmur ran through the crowd. She had their attention now. "I grew up on Earth, on a farm in Montana, where winter could kill you if you weren't careful. My family taught me that strength isn't just about muscles. It's about getting up when you're tired, helping your neighbor when they're struggling, and doing the work that needs doing even when nobody's watching. Earth is a hard place. Beautiful, but hard. Our weather tries to kill us. Our animals try to kill us. Our bacteria tries to kill us. We survive by adapting and by helping each other." Carla looked directly at the humans in the crowd. Every human here carries that legacy. We're descended from people who crossed oceans in wooden boats, who climbed mountains because they were there, who looked at hostile environments and decided to live there anyway. Not because we're tougher than everyone else, but because Earth taught us that giving up was an option. She turned to address the full audience. "But here's what I learned working with all of you. Every species here has their own Earth. Every world taught its people different lessons about survival and strength. The Saurids learned patience from their long lifespans. The Chittick learned coordination from their multiple limbs. The Luminar learned to adapt by literally changing their physical structure. We're all strong in the ways our worlds made us strong." The assembly hall had gone completely quiet. Even the usual background hum of station systems seemed muted. "The Razorback incident taught me something important. Strength alone doesn't matter much. What matters is choosing to use whatever strength you have to help people. I could have evacuated with everyone else. Nobody would have blamed me. But 3 people were trapped, and I had the capability to do something about it. That's not heroism. That's just being part of a community." Carla leaned forward slightly, her voice firm. "Earth made humans strong in specific ways. We can lift heavy things and run for days and heal from injuries that would kill other species. But Earth also taught us that strength without compassion is just violence. Power without responsibility is just tyranny. Capability without community is just loneliness." She straightened up. "So yeah, I'm strong for a human, and humans are apparently stronger than the galaxy thought. But that's not why I'm standing here. I'm here because when people needed help, I chose to help. Any of you would have done the same with your own capabilities. That's what makes us people instead of just creatures surviving on our separate worlds. Carla looked at Torvak. My supervisor taught me that different species have different strengths, and we're all better when we work together. Rilf taught me that assumptions are dangerous and questions are valuable. Penny taught me that experience matters more than classifications. Every person I've worked with has taught me something about what strength actually means. She addressed the humans in the crowd again. For those of you who are human and working in space, I know it's been weird. People treat us differently now. Some are scared. Some are opportunistic. Some are genuinely trying to understand. My advice is simple. Do good work. Help people when you can. Ask questions when things don't make sense. And remember that we're not here to prove we're better than anyone. We're here to be part of something bigger than any one species. Carla took a breath. The galaxy is huge and complicated and full of people who are all trying to figure things out. Earth gave us tools to survive and thrive, but it also gave us the responsibility to use those tools wisely. We're strong. Okay, now what do we do with that strength? Do we hoard it and profit from it? Or do we share it and build something better? She looked around the assembly hall, making eye contact with as many people as she could. I choose to build. I choose to work alongside people from 47 different species, learning from them and teaching what I know. I choose to lift heavy things so my coworkers don't have to. I choose to ask questions so we all get better. And I choose to help when help is needed, because that's what communities do. Carla stepped back from the podium. That's all I've got. Thank you for listening. And thank you to everyone who helped me understand what it means to be human in a galaxy full of people who are all trying their best. The assembly hall erupted in applause. Not polite ceremonial clapping, but genuine appreciation that came in various forms depending on species. Clicking mandibles, tail thumping, crystalline chiming, and human whooping all mixed together in a sound that made Carla smile despite her nervousness. Commander Hallex approached with a commendation medal. Beautifully said, Specialist Hayes. The station is better for having you here. After the ceremony, Carla escaped to the observation deck where floor-to-ceiling windows showed the stars beyond the station. Penny found her there 20 minutes later. Hiding from your fans? Penny asked, joining her at the window. Needed some air, or whatever passes for air in space. That was a good speech. Better than the one Torvak wrote. His version had 17 mentions of proper protocol adherence. They stood in comfortable silence, watching a cargo ship dock in the distance. Finally, Penny spoke. You really believe what you said? About building things together? Yeah, Carla said. Edo. Earth taught humans to be tough, but also taught us that tough means nothing if you're tough alone. The strongest people I've known weren't the ones who could lift the most weight. They were the ones who showed up when things got hard and helped without being asked. The galaxy's going to be different with humans in it, Penny observed. It's already different. We're just figuring out what that means. A week later, Carla was back in a loading dock training a mixed group of new recruits. A human woman named Angela struggled with a container, her form wrong and her frustration evident. Stop, Carla said, walking over. You're fighting the weight instead of working with it. Here, watch. She demonstrated proper lifting technique, explaining the biomechanics in simple terms. Legs do the work, core stays tight, arms are just hooks. You're not trying to muscle it. You're using leverage and proper positioning. Angela tried again, and this time the container moved smoothly. Her face lit up with accomplishment. That's it, Carla encouraged. See? You had the strength all along. You just needed better technique. Across the bay, a young Chittick named Vexrel watched with all four arms crossed. Specialist Hayes, can you teach that technique adapted for my body structure? Absolutely. Come here and let's figure it out together. By the end of the training session, workers from 5 species had learned modified versions of proper lifting technique adapted to their unique physiologies. Torvak observed from his office, making notes and occasionally shaking his head in what Carla had learned was his version of please surprise. That evening, Carla sat in the crew break room reviewing inventory reports when a message came through her personal communicator. It was from her mother back on Earth. Saw your speech on the news feeds. Your father says he's proud, though he won't admit he cried watching it. We all are. You're doing good work up there, honey. Keep showing them what Montana girls can do. Love you. Carla smiled and sent back a quick reply before returning to her reports. The loading dock hummed with activity beyond the break room walls. Somewhere, Rilf was probably cataloging something with unnecessary precision. Penny was covering the night shift with her usual efficient competence. Torvak was updating protocols based on the latest capability assessments. This was her community now. This strange collection of beings from dozens of worlds, all trying to move cargo and build lives in the black between the stars. They had their differences and their conflicts and their misunderstandings, but they showed up every day and did the work together. Carla picked up her tablet and headed back to the floor. There were containers to move, new workers to train, and a galaxy to build alongside anyone willing to help lift the load. Earth had made her strong, but Station Helix was teaching her what to do with that strength. She walked past the spot where the Razorback incident had happened, where a small plaque now marked the event. Someone had added an unofficial inscription below the official text. It read simply, "Strength is choosing to help." Yeah, Carla thought. That's exactly right.